And Mr. Shastri, I really loved his lecture. I thought it was fascinating. And a couple of takeaways from what Mr. Shastri had mentioned. One, I've relearned, again, the old dictum they say, never judge a book by its cover. So, Mr. Shastri, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was really nice of you. In fact, what you shared with us. And a lot of other things as well. I think there were a few other takeaways as well. But what I thought was far more fascinating today from listening to Mr. Pai here, it's very interesting how a word can really, the nomenclature, the taxonomy, the very coinage of a word, how it can really change over a period of time. Disruption typically is a word which has got a negative connotation, which had a negative connotation, let me put it that way. Say 5 years ago, if somebody said disruption, I think it would have implied something really, really negative. But today, when somebody says disruption, and as many times as Mr. Pai used it, I think he must have used it 100 times today, goes to show you how the world has changed, in the last 5 years more so. So, really fascinating stuff, Mr. Pai. Thank you so much for really enlightening all of us, all of the young minds here. I'm sure some of them are ignited. They're really raring to go and aspire, to do more. What we have created here in the form of T-Hub, in tandem with IIIT Hyderabad, the nice gentleman sitting here, Mr. P.J. Narayanan, with the collaboration of Nalsar, IIT, and also our own Indian School of Business, is essentially the same, to provide a platform to disrupt, to provide a platform to innovate, to provide a platform to incubate, to provide a platform to incorporate, all in Hyderabad preferably. That's the intent. Now, the takeaways for me from what Mr. Shastri had mentioned, he was talking about Aryabhatta, he was talking about Sushruta, he was talking about the age-old Indian innovators, the age-old Indian inventions which have not been recognized, which have not been acknowledged, and in fact, to actually put it bluntly, which have been stolen by the West and, usurped and stolen by the West and made it their own. I think there are 3 takeaways in there for us. One, I think we all have to remember, history gets written by the victor. People do not really remember as to who did what. I think end of the day, I think people remember who has, essentially owned up to it. So I think one thing we all need to be wary of while we are innovating also is protecting our intellectual property, and that's one thing we have factored in with T-Hub. We have Nalsar on the board, so we do have the ability to ensure that whatever you innovate, whatever you create, whatever you co-create will be yours, will be patented, will be trademarked, and will be kept yours. That's one. 2, from what he had mentioned, I think what is equally important in today's world, because it's a game of valuation. Mr. Pai here talks about a 60x profit, 60x return. I think what's important also is to understand that in today's world, Indians, we are acknowledged for our brains, for our prowess, for our ability to really, really do a great job. But I think end of the day, one thing we are not so good at this point in time at least, is the fact, we have to admit, is that we really are not very good at, plowing our way through and, really creating something out of nothing. If you want me to expand a bit on that, I don't think there's a better nation today than America, at least, in terms of marketing a product or marketing an idea. They really can talk their way through. They really can create valuation out of nothing if you think about it. I mean, there are a lot of nodes of innovation across the world. Across the world. There's Israel, there's UK, there's other countries, and then there is America. Why is it that Silicon Valley is the mecca of innovators today? The answer is very straightforward. While you may have the ability to innovate, I think you also have to have the ability to market. You also have to have the ability to really make a pitch. You also have to have the ability to really talk, to really be able to present. I think that's one area where I think a lot of young innovators here, you will need to really, come out of your skin, really stretch yourself, put your imagination to work, not just innovate, but also be able to talk about it, or also be able to sell the idea. I think that's far more important in today's world. The other thing, I think, I don't know how many Calvin and Hobbes fans here? Any? Nice. I'm one of them also. I think Calvin says, I think somebody else said, necessity is the mother of invention. I think Calvin says, mother is the necessity of invention. I have a different take. I think in today's world, innovation is the mother of entrepreneurship. I think you would all agree, because innovation today and entrepreneurship, these 2 things I think will propel India to greatness in this next decade, as Mr. Pai was hoping and as Mr. Pai was explaining to all of us. We've seen several waves of growth. We've seen several events that have transformed the world. What Mr. Pai alluded to, the 1945 assembly line, Henry Ford. I think the mantra then was the 3D mantra: define, design, deliver. I think it was precision that mattered. But in today's world, it's not precision anymore, it's disruption. And in today's world, the 3I mantra matters more: innovate, incubate, incorporate. And that's where I see a great future for the fourth I, that is India. And I think Indians have a great future. I think we're right at the point of takeoff. And I think all of you all, with the young minds here in this room, I think all of you all need to dream big. All of you all need to really think big. And there's no reason why, while we do have the Aryabhattas and Shushrutas to really, fall back on, I think this is the world of Zuckerbergs and, the new age heroes, Jack Ma's. Obama puts aside the protocol convention to meet Jack Ma and interview him. That's the world we live in today. So I think we need our own heroes. I think we can still, go back to our Aryabhattas and Shushrutas, but I think we need our own heroes in India. And this is the new age which can really make it happen. Like I said, the 3I mantra combined with the Indian agility, I think really can make a difference. And the fifth I, that is the Innofest here, which is why we are all here. I think, Sharad Sharma, thank you once again for bringing it here. And T-Hub is the right platform for all of you to come here, innovate. T-Hub is not something exclusive for the people of Telangana or Hyderabad. We want to make Hyderabad the startup capital of the country. It's a tall order, I know, especially sitting before a Bangalorean and talking about it. But nevertheless, I think the right kind of beginning, the right kind of start is what it takes. And I'm glad you're all here. And I'm hopeful that you will innovate, you will make India the next, the startup capital of the world. Thank you so much once again for the opportunity.